we'd like to have you start to take the games that you're putting together and add some more interesting things to them so that we can actually see your story. And so as we start down this path, I just want to mention I had a few people volunteer the use of their programs in earlier sessions. And so I am going to look for, Gio, thanks for letting me know. If you've got a book, I will set up a recording for you. All right, my man? Have a good one. Congratulations to the bride and groom. If it's you, that's really amazing, nonetheless. All right. Here we are. We got, of course, considering we're doing Among Us, maybe he didn't really leave. Maybe he's still here, and he's an imposter. Yeah, I swear. All right, that's good. So, I just use that as an attention getter. I don't really have Among Us written in C++. I just wanted to kind of experiment with a little bit because some of the things that I'm used to being able to do in Visual Studio, I don't yet have working in online GDB. So that's where that's at. And some of the things that I have planned for us to work on, I'm still going to have to figure out exactly how to get them to work. But I made some good headway today. I got a video attached to the assignment that's going to post for Monday where you're going to actually be incorporating more of this. But there were some really cool things that people came up with. So let's jump into, first of all, questions. I'm going to invite questions in particular about what we're working on right now. I am going to bring up a survey to get people to provide some input for me. A few things we can do here. So I'm going to start a poll, do a custom one. And would you like to know more about I won't do that. Okay, so here we go. Here's 4 things that we could talk about. There's a poll. Would you rather talk about if, else, loops, random, or you don't know? Now, when I say random, I mean the actual function like using random. I don't mean like talk about random stuff, just to be clear, all right? So hope that makes sense. So I got, 3 people that haven't said anything yet. I'm hoping they're online. Hoping that wedding was just taking away one of my students. All right, we got 3 that haven't voted still. I'm going to assume they're eating lunch. They're at the microwave. They can't get to where we're at right now. That's probably what it is, right? Let's see. Anyone here still going to vote? We got 2 people that haven't responded yet. Sometimes I get a sense that people have me on, but their eyes are like on their phones. They're not paying attention to the screen. I don't know what's going on because I don't make you guys turn your cameras on. All right, here's what I want to do. I want to find out who got the work turned in from yesterday. So, published the polling results here. Most people don't know, but loops came up a lot. So let's take a look at a couple of these, and I think that makes sense. We're going to take a look at some loops here. All right, using, let's see, can I do it this way? Let's do it this way. How many types of loops are there? A would be 1, B would be 2, C would be 3, 4 would be D, and E would be 5. How many different types of loops are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 types of loops. Okay, so the polling results are showing that there's some consensus around 3. 3 is correct. The 3 types of loops, and the first 2 both have the word while in them, but we'll use while as the first one. There's one that's called a do loop. The do also has the word while in it. And the third kind, which is kind of a play on words, is for. It's not, there's 4 types of loops, but there's a for loop. That's it. The water doesn't get any deeper than that. So we're going to be talking about loops. So we're going to be looking at some samples that students have done. Wouldn't the one in Lightbot work? Is there a loop in Lightbot? I think you're talking about where you call yourself. Is that what you mean? Like function 1 calls itself? Okay, good question, Peter. That's actually something different. It's got a special word. It's called recursion. Okay, so I'm going to put that in a different color. So recursion is a process of calling yourself to go do something. Like I could say, all right, I want this function to go and find the square root. And then it takes its result and tries to find the square root. And it tries to find the square root. And that would continue infinitely unless you put in a condition where if I'm already at a prime number or I can't find the square root, then just return that base value. So there is a thing called recursion. There's something else that people get confused with loops. People confuse the term goto. I'm putting in a really bad color because it's a really bad thing to use. We should not use goto statements. And another thing that sometimes people confuse with loops are branching statements, such as if and else. Now, almost all of these need to be paired with a condition. And when I say a condition, it's something that's going to be either true or false. So whether it's an if statement or do statement, a while statement, you're always going to check some kind of a condition. So if I said while, and then in the parentheses in here, I could compare 2 values. I could check and see if a true or false is going to be returned. If it's true, or while it's true, you're going to do something. And so those statements, that's where you put a semicolon, is after the statements, but not up here where the while is. I'm not sure if I have a cursor here. But there's a common mistake where people will put in a loop and then they'll actually have a semicolon here, and that's not what you want to have. Because an if statement and a while statement will end at the first semicolon. So if you want to include this in it, you're going to want to have a semicolon only down here. Now, if you have multiple statements, you have to put them inside of another structure. Does anybody know what you need to put them inside of to hold more than one command? Because that first semicolon is going to end it unless you do something special. Exactly. You can use these special brackets to hold multiple statements. And if those are in place, the while statement or an if statement would control everything that's inside there. Now, there is no else within a while statement. There's an if then else or an else if, but there is no else after a while. That's another thing that sometimes students start to get confused between ifs. An if is a one-time and a while continues. All right, let's look at some code. I think it helps if we look at some code. So I'm going to go back to sharing my screen again. I think I saved this version, but it's pretty much disposable. We'll get to that later. This is the video I made for Monday. It's already up on YouTube. Just cleaning up some stuff. There's the source code for Roblox I was looking at. We have a conference active. That's all good. All right. Oof. All right. Pretty soon you're going to be doing a zombie game, and the zombie game is going to include some randomness. It's going to include loops. It's going to include if statements. It's going to kind of bring a bunch of things together. And soon after that, you're going to be doing something where you're going to be working on the maze game. And the maze game is also going to have loops. It's going to have if statements. It's going to have some print and scanf statements. It's also going to have something called a structure. We're going to get into putting more than one piece of data together. And it's going to have an interesting function or feature in it that lets you wrap around the screen. It's basically going to peel back the layer a little bit and let you see how Portal works. So we're going to be looking at some code that actually does something interesting and unique within the confines of C++ that applies in more complicated games. Because we got to learn to walk before we run. All right, so I do have some classwork out there for today. Yeah, I guess I got to make this week 6, day 1, since I forgot to get this out there. I'm going to give you guys some flashcards to work on. And the reason I'm doing that is it's going to help to reinforce vocabulary words and concepts that you need for C++. If they help you, great. Let me know they help you. If they don't, give me a private comment. Not everyone likes flashcards, but I can't necessarily sit down and quiz you or do a check as easily. And it really doesn't matter if you don't know it, because you can learn it. I'm confident of that. And if you do think you know something, I am more interested in that you understand the why, not that you could just guess the right answer. So if I said, how many loops are there? Let's do this again. If I bring up another survey, and yeah, I'm doing polls again, but I'm doing this for a couple of reasons. One is repetition is the motor of learning, and 2 is I want to see if the people that didn't respond before respond now. So how many types of loops are there? A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, D is 4, etc. So how many types of loops are there? We just went over it, the types. So you should be able to answer how many I went over. Okay, so I'm not seeing response from some people. A couple of people still aren't responding. So still looking for one response, please. How many types of loops are there? I went over them just a minute ago. So as a recap, I'm going to publish the results here, which means I got to stop sharing my screen, and we'll publish the polling results. Okay, so 2 people said B, which is just 2 types of loops. Let's go back again, and let me label them for you. So the first type that we have is called a while loop. So that's a single word. It's got a condition after it. The next one is a do while. There's a subtle difference between them. The do while is going to do it once no matter what. And the third type is the for. So there are 3 types of loops. And remember, I'm going for mastery, so I want you to understand why there's 3 types. And it's great when somebody asks something about recursion, and I just got the go-to and the if out of the way because those are commonly confused. So hopefully we've covered this with repetition. There's 3 types of loops. I had you do a countdown program using all 3 types of loops. I had you do a count by 20 up to, or sorry, count by 5 up to 200, that you could have used any loop type. And there are times when I'm going to tell you use this loop type, but most of the time you can get by on any of them. My personal favorite is the for loop. That's because everything's on one line. I don't have to look all over for it. All right, so let's take a look at what was turned in from the assignment that was due for your guessing games. I gave you some starting code with that, and we got the guess the number games, and less than half the students have turned it in so far. But oh wait, no more, because I graded 7 of them. And so does anybody want to volunteer that I can look at their custom version of the guessing game? Take a look here. So this student gave me a screenshot, which is not what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is a link to the code, right? So if you're not clear on how to do that, oh, is this a link? Cool. So Peter, I think you're online. Could you give me a thumbs up in the response there if it's okay if I go through yours as a sample? I see a public chat there. Okay, I got okay from Claire and from Stephanie. That's good. So Peter, are you in? Looking for your icon here. Yep, cool. All right, so let's take a look at Peter's. Thank you to everybody who volunteered. I think I will probably get to all of them. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now so you can see it. Otherwise, it's not going to make a lot of sense me talking about it, right? That's for sure. That's for sure. All right, I'm going to scroll in so it's nice and big and hopefully easier to read. First thing is, did the student put their name at the top? Got all those points. Next thing is, did they seed random so they get a different number? Because, you know, we found out if you don't seed your random, then you're going to end up with the same number, 84, I think it was, that we would end up with 100 every time. And now we're looking for some type of a story where you've made this a little bit different. So interesting. This is an unconventional way to do it, but it works. We're in the middle of a do loop, which means it's going to do it every time. And there's a set of code here that says if these two things are equal. So remember, when you look at an equal sign here, two equal signs is basically saying if whatever's on this side is equal to this side, if that's true, then you're going to do everything that's down below here. So these braces help group more than one line of code. Now he's got a return in here. This basically ends the program right there. This is almost like doing a goto statement. This automatically ends the game because this return statement, this is an integer value, and this corresponds with, if we look above, it corresponds with the return statement above. So I hadn't covered that in detail before. There's got to be a way to clear all these, I would imagine, but sorry, I'm new with some of this stuff that's a little messy. We'll get rid of it. Paging down. So then if their guess number is greater, then we say they guessed too high. Otherwise we say they guessed too low. Now he doesn't say else if it's too low. If you think about it, it's equal, it's greater than, or naturally the last remaining condition of comparing two numbers is it's going to be too low. So there's two things here so far that have been interesting. One is we have a return statement in the middle of a loop, not something I covered, but it works. And the other is that we're not checking for that third condition, which many new students will be. All right, so the thing I'm missing here in the assignment is some kind of a story that goes with it. We'll look at another example in a minute and make sure you kind of see what I'm talking about. So I'm not going to fork this or anything. I'm just going to drop in here and look at another example. So Jacob gave me a Google Doc, which up until now, I've been fine with people giving me their code and letting me copy and paste it. All right, and this looks like it doesn't really have a story in it either. So I'm going to drop out of that one as well. Hayden sent me his as a Google Doc. And there's a question in there as well. All right, so far I'm not seeing like storyline put into this guessing game. Let me see if I can find one who might have done that for us. I'll see. I mean, Stephanie did offer, so I'll take a quick look and see if she's got a story in here. Maybe I didn't make that clear. Guess a number, guess higher, lower, congrats. No, we went through that one. Am I looking at the wrong date? Oh, this is day 2. I'm on the wrong date. I'm so sorry, students. What I'm looking for is one that's got a story in it. Customize it. There we go. All right. I'm sorry. Here's Peter's. Probably be. Oh, look at that. He's got it. He's got it linked in there. Perfect. You put number 1 to 100. So I don't see a modification on this to add a story. Let's look at another example. I got one from an early morning session student that I thought was pretty good. Kenny, what's Kenny's last name? Can I do a search for Kenny? There we go, Kenny Johnson. Take a look at Kenny's. And click on this. We're going to run Kenny's. Stuff out of the way now. This is his. I'd have to fork it if I want to make any changes. I'm just going to go ahead and run it. So this is his. I don't have to read it to you. You guys can read it. So I have 5 guesses for each lock, and there's 3 locks. So by using copy and paste on this first simple example, there's 3 different locks I have to get through. And they only go in a range between 0 and 20. So knowing 0 through 20, my first guess is going to be 10. It's lower, so I'm going to go with 5. So it's lower again. This gets a little bit awkward to see what's on the screen here. So it's lower than 5. 3, 2, 1. Nice job. I got the first number. Now to find the other two. Well, that was pretty embarrassing. It took me that long to get to the first one. I'm going to scroll back a little bit, see if I can make this smaller. There we go. So for the second number, I'm just going to throw in 10 because I know it's up to 20. It's higher, so I'll go 15. Higher, I'll go 17. It's higher still, 18. 19. Good. So I got so as you can see that this game hasn't ended with the first number. I've had to guess a second number, and now it's asking for a third number. So I'm just going to throw a 1 in just because it seems like higher. Okay, so I'll go with 15. I'm randomizing now. The number is higher than 15. I got there anyway. 18. Got it. So now at the end, he's giving me lock 1, lock 2, and lock 3. How many attempts? And I got in with some kind of exit code 1. So this is a student who's taken the idea of the randoms and they've added a story around it. So it's their own imagination. And I was trying to throw the Among Us thing up there to kind of give you an idea. And I'll go through some samples again on Monday where you can kind of add some content to it. Now, some people are really good at being exacting with their code, and they don't like being a story writer. And other people are great at story writing, and they just don't like to be exacting in their code. And there's some people that are, better at one or the other, but they'll do either one. So everyone is their own person, and I'm not trying to change anybody. Kenny did a story. Other people may have done their code more efficiently. There's places for everybody in industry. There really is. It's all good. So what I was looking at today was, like, Kenny's got his documentation at the top. It does have random. He does have a story. He did turn it in the proper format. So I can go ahead and return his work. So I was opening the wrong version for other people. Claire offered we could look at hers. Let's see what we got going on here. Oh, this has got a story. So let's just got our comments. It looks like we have time, which is good. We do seed random, and we got a story. So let's see how this goes. You come up to a house which has been abandoned for years. You peek through the window, and it's pitch black. Would you like to enter the abandoned house? Whoa! Whoa! Do we go in, or do we just say no? What do you think? Give me a 1 or a 2. I got a funny story. I was at a friend's house, and he had like 5 kids, and they were watching a movie where there was this Spring of Bible. There was some we're watching a teen movie where a couple was on a date, and they were going to go into a scary house just like this. And the 14-year-old daughter, she said, I wouldn't go in the house. And the 12-year-old daughter said, I wouldn't have gotten out of the car. And the 8-year-old daughter said, I wouldn't have gone on the date. I'll always remember that. You enter the house. The doors are promptly shut and lock behind you. Oh, good grief. You look around the inside of the house. It looks in shambles, just like my house. I'm home. Honey, I'm home. And plant growth is all over the house. A voice calls your name. Mr. Judge, you can leave the house if you can guess the number. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, otherwise I'll be stuck there forever. Will I take the challenge? I wonder what 2 would do. I almost want to touch 2 just to see if I die or something. All right, 1, yes. You hear chill chuckling. All right, that's going to sound like this. Okay, you have 5 tries to make each one count. Guess a number between 1 and 50. Whew, pressure's on. Pressure's on. We can always rerun it. 1 to 50. What are we going to do here? Anybody got a guess? Yeah, this is totally wrong. All right. Don't type in the number of the beast. All right. That should be a secret unlock code. Good job. Whoa. What? The door is unlocked behind you when you bolt out of the house, not looking back at the end. Wow. If you're ever going to go into a haunted house, bring Stephanie. Oh, this is pretty wild. We got a little typing going on here. I'm going to run it again. I'm going to run this again. We'll see what happens this time. 2. Before you could wait, the doors. Oh, wow. Something pulls you in. Nice. So I'm going to try 2. The house starts shaking as you feel yourself sinking into the floor. You're left in an endless, empty, black room where no one can find you. Wow.
Hey, Mr. Judd.
Hey.
I dare you to put numbers besides 1 and 2. I have code set in place for it.
Whoa, all right. There's a dare. This is kind of creepy. You know what I got to do? I got to get some background music going on here. See, get some background music going. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. Disc 1. There we go. Bum, bum. This would be perfect for this. By the way, go to the library and get out the CDs. That's how you get your music for free. Oh, yeah. 42. It's the Stranger Things music. Spooky, scary skeletons. Like a Tombstone? No, because that's going to remind you of Tombstone Pizza. David, you always take me to pizza. Fun stuff. All right, this was really good. Really good. So now we could actually work on making this a little bit more interactive with some ASCII art. And if you look at Monday's video, you could like play with that if you're like up for it over the weekend. PI, interesting. NOG-PI, interesting. We got a while there. We got an if. Got a return. Nicely laid out. Nicely done. So I don't like the grade in front of students, but you know, you guys know what the rubric is, and you can see the requirements are there. If you do the work, you get the points. That's just the way it should go. All right. So does anybody else have, now that I'm on the right one, does anybody else have a story they want me to grab? Anybody else have a story that they'd like to share? Because I can run your program, we can all experience it. If we were in lab, I'd be having everybody at a pod trying everyone's game and kind of giving each other feedback. So, it has an amazing personality. All right, let's see what kind of personality we might find. The links work so wonderful for me. I mean, I can click on a link and see your code. So I just really like it. Guess a number between 1 and 100. Ah, should have guessed higher. I should try again. Sweetheart. Guess for a number. All right. 75. So, yeah, there's little emoji icons here that are yeah, I have to see if I can scroll in so you can see the great care, because this is pretty much ASCII art in a single symbol there. It is taunting me. Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's between 50 and 75, almost 60. Interesting. So, 65. Let's see what I did. Try 75, so I'll try 70. So lower than 70, higher than 71. Sometimes I have trouble going back and forth and remembering, so I'm not doing well here. Sweetheart, sweetheart, sweetheart. know if anybody put in anything for checking like random numbers that are out of range. But that's something else we could do 69. Oh, it ended. It ended, I think, at 65. Cool. Cool. All right. All good. What questions do you have for me, students? I'd like to do some things with loops and stuff that you might be interested in. I don't want to pick on anybody's. I don't want to give somebody too much attention here. Does anybody want me to look at their code, either submit it or not, and we can talk about what you're doing and how it's going? So I'm going to start a poll. Yes or no, you want me to look at your code? All right, so I got 3 people that are willing to have me look at their code. There we go. So let's see what I can do. Where's the first yes here? Mr. Palmer, is it okay if I open yours? Is it turned in yet? Not yet. Okay. Could you? I can actually have you do the presentation if it's not turned in yet. You want to do that? I'll make you the presenter, okay? And then you can actually go ahead and take control. Oh, Peter's like, just give me a minute. I'm going to put a story in. I'll blow you away. So Mr. Palmer's just updating us here in his typing. I mean, you could copy and paste the code into the message, and I can copy and paste it from there if you want. Or the shared notes, that's another thing you can do. Oh yeah, you can do it today. That's cool. All right, so yeah, when I said you want me to look at your code, I was trying to figure out if somebody had code to actually look at. So I already looked at Peter's, we looked at Claire's. Does anybody else have code they want to show? No, it's good. It's good. I know not everybody has time with me every day. You guys haven't seen me get upset about anything yet, I don't think. I've laughed about a few things, but yeah, it's not worth it. It's not worth getting upset about. Everybody's doing the best they can. That's where I'm coming from. I'm doing the best I can, and it's not always perfect, so who am I to judge? All right. Claire, did you want to look at your code and then do something with it? Is that what you were saying?
Wait, what are you talking about?
Sorry, I didn't hear that. I think I turned my music up too loud. Maybe I need to stop my Stranger Things. All right, so let's throw another loop into some code here. Make sure you guys are getting your names in the top too, okay? That's something I've got to remember to look for as well. That was Peter's old one. All right, so that's the spy one. There we go. Here's Claire's. All right, so let's see. Claire, do you count how many guesses by chance? Kind of.
It does count it in there.
Yeah, the
I
NOG,
think.
right?
Huh?
Is it the NOG value that's keeping track of number of guesses?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know you're not sharing the screen though either, right?
Oh, I did not know. I wasn't sure. I'll change that. Oh, you know what it is? I made somebody else presenter and I forgot, so it kind of changes things. So I got to take the presentation from them, and then I have the feature because I kept clicking on it and it wasn't coming up, and I thought it was just being slow, but it was me forgetting to do one step. All right, so I'm on your code, and so let's say, for example, we wanted to put a scary house in here. Anybody got any ideas how we could put a scary house in here? Because remember, we have this come upon the house, which seems to be abandoned for years, right? You peek in the window. So let's say we want to add a little bit more of a theme right here. We can actually, I'm going to fork this so that I can actually change the code. So I've got a branch of it. You still got yours. So someone's looking in the window, right? So rather than worry about a big picture of a house, if we just try to focus on the view of the user, and we say spooky window, ASCII art. Now the term ASCII art, there we go. Yeah, let's see what we got here. I don't know if we're going to have a window. These are all things that you could effectively copy and paste and then put into your games with adding printf statements on them. How about if we do haunted house ASCII and see if we can do something like that? I don't want it to be too large though, because we have relatively small. Yeah, so something like this would be fine because it's keep it all small. Now there's a couple of tricks to this. To me, this looks a little scarier because it's got a tree by it. That makes no sense, Mr. Judge. So if I copy this and I bring it in to print it, there's a couple of things you want to remember. First, I'm just going to paste it into the world here in which we have. I need to do a printf. So I can just copy from the start of here, and I can start to actually put at the beginning of them. And I'm going to use my mouse to click in the first position for consistency. And I'm just going to paste with a paste command in front of all of these to start out to say, all right, the stuff that you're about to see, put it on the screen. We're doing that by using the printf command. And the other thing is we need to go down a line. So I'm going to copy this, and I'll do the same thing on the other end of these lines. And not so worried about how they line up on this side. There's one little idiosyncrasy about printf statements, and the color blue is giving you a clue. So if it is a \n, nothing special needs to happen there. These percent signs, remember we use %sign like %i for integer. It might choke on that. We might need to change that character. We'll check about that. But I do know with a \, it says like, oh, it's going to be a new line, or it's going to be a tab. That second \, I'm about to add will say, it's going to be something special. Just kidding. It's actually a slash. Excuse me. So I'm going to put these in to match. Oops, that was the wrong one. That's right there. Here. I should probably go all the way across one line first. So I get these done. And then go down a line and make sure I get 2 of them there. I put the wrong one in. Let me undo my last couple changes because I got myself confused. All right, so it's the \key, which is this one. Make sure I got 2 of those in every place that isn't a \n instead of just one of them. And I'm not sure what's going to go on with the % signs. All right, so let's try that. See if we get the house to show up. I got some warning messages. I'll look at that in a minute. So it doesn't know why it's / some of these symbols in here. So they're just warnings. It's going to let it run. And it doesn't quite line up right. But you get the idea. 1 equals yes, 2 equals no. So here's what else we can do. And at least one student was asking me about data types here in the past. So if we want to actually be able to provide them with the ability to enter either a Y or an N, or instead, we can use a character for our data type. So if we say there's going to be a character, and it's going to be called whatever they're typing in for a response, so players responds, and we're going to set that out to be a space value to start with. So now we've got a single character called player responds that we can bring a value in. Next week I'll show you how to put a whole name in there. But for now we're just going to grab players responds. And so instead of bringing it in the format of an integer, I'm going to change this to C for character. And I'm going to put this in the address of players responds. So now I'm bringing in the players responds, and I can say Y equals yes and N equals no. Now, when you're comparing values, I always like the literal on the left, but I'm just going to stick with your style here. And if it's a Y, so now what I've done is I've changed the use of this so that instead of using a number, I'm using a character, which sometimes is more desirable for you to make it more English-like for people. Now, the other thing we can do is we could wrap this around here. We could wrap another loop around here to make sure that we always get either a Y or an N and they don't give me anything else. So watch this. I'm going to insert a new structure here. It's going to be a do loop. So it's going to be done at least once. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask them for a yes or no. And I'm going to do that while the responds is not equal to Y is one condition, and the responds is not equal to no. Now I need to put these in single quotes. I missed that, so I don't know it's an actual value. But if it's not a Y and it's not an N, then I'm going to continue that until it's either a Y or an N, because with an and, they both have to be true. So if they put in a capital Y or a capital N, it's going to repeat. So let's just test that part of it and see if that works. The other thing is for a do statement, which is a loop, we should put anything we want to have happen within some curly braces. Kind of gives us the benefit of a little collapsible area there. So we're going to do everything in the middle. Well, it's not a lowercase y or a lowercase n. There's our artwork. Now it wants a, oh boy, it wants a Y or an N. Let's see if we can pull this off and get it to the side so we can see it a little bit better. Wow, it keeps popping up another version of this. Hide those tools. All right, so what if I put in a capital Y? Doesn't like it. What if I put in yes? That broke it because I'm not just grabbing one character. I forgot to flush anything extra. Did too much showing off there. So again, the warnings we're going to ignore for now. If I do a Y for yes, pops me through. Okay. So I did a couple things there. I added a loop to make sure that it's going to be a lowercase y or a lowercase n. I haven't looked at the rest of the code to see if I screwed up something by changing the use of that variable. But I did want to show you another example of a loop, which this is, to help instruct or enforce that the right type of data gets entered. I also wanted to show you that you could use a character in an if statement. And I'm using not equal twice, and I'm using a lowercase character in those two cases. What questions do you have for me? Peter, you want me to look at your game now? Claire, do you want this messed up version sent to you? So I'm just going to share this one for Claire. I'll drop it into a private chat for you since it's your code. So you can copy it from there. Or there's a link you can click on. It'll get you right there. All right, I'm going to drop back into the Google Classroom. Oh, hopefully those changes were saved. If they weren't, I'm sorry. I may not have done that exactly right. Look at the assignment that's due today on the custom guessing game. And see if I can find Peter's in here. Guessing game. Run. The correct pin for the phone. Ooh. 0 through 9. What's the first number? Wow. I'm going to jailbreak a phone. All right, let's see what I can do here. Aha. Third number. I'm confused on where I'm at with my numbers here. It's just me. Oh, there's a fourth number. Okay. Higher. In 12 tries. Inside the phone, you'll find a game called the guessing game. Oh, wow. This is recursion, I imagine, huh? I got to look at your code. I think you just did what I think you did. Let me take a look here. All right, so what he did is he set up a situation here, well, it's always true, even if you guess it. Now, because you seed it up here, I think it's going to be the same combination, even though it'll repeat. So it's going to end in 9. So 9, 6, let's see, 9, 6, 4. Let's see, we have 4. First one, so it's 4, 4, 3, 6, 9. So let's try this. Oh. No! I'm stuck in this eternal phone game. Nicely done, Peter. You're doing things a little differently. Very telling. That's what we need. People, we don't need somebody to think exactly like everybody else. All right. I've got some activities out there for you. I know it's 2 o'clock. I know it's Friday. Those of you who haven't got this turned in yet, get it turned in. Ask for help. I'll be online. Those of you who are on top of it, doing well, I want you to have a great weekend. Okay? I'm staying online, but you can go if you want to. So the activities are posted on Google Classroom for you. Okay, I'm going to turn off my camera, but I'm still here if you need anything.